Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 12, The Perfect Society, 4 Spiritual Classes, text number 12 onwards. Anjanabhyanjanonmardasthriyavalekhamisham madhu srag gandhale palankaras tyajir yurye brihat vritaha. Brahmacharis or grihasthas who have taken the vow of celibacy as described above should not indulge in the following: applying powder or ointment to the eyes, massaging the head with oil, massaging the body with the hands, seeing a woman or painting a woman's picture, eating meat, drinking wine, decorating the body with flower garlands, smearing scented ointment on the body, or decorating the body with ornaments. These they should give up, basically because this either makes the person passionate or he makes the other sex attractive to his body. So the idea is not to indulge in that. And that's all. That is how we can make progress spiritually without any distractions. उषित वैवम गुरुकुले द्विजो अधीत्याव बुद्धेच्छा त्रयीं सांगोपनिषदम यावद अर्थम यथा बलम तत्त्ववरम अनुज्ञातो गुरुः कामं यदीश्वरः गृहं वनं च प्रविशेत् प्रव्रजेत तत्र वा वसेत्. According to the rules and regulations mentioned above, one who is twice born, namely a Brahman, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, should reside in the Gurukul under the care of the spiritual master. There he should study and learn all the Vedic literatures along with the subjects and the Upanishads according to his ability and power to study. If possible, the student or disciple should reward the spiritual master with the remuneration the spiritual master requests. And then, following the master's order, the disciple should leave and accept one of the other ashrams, namely Grihastha-ashram, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasa-ashram, as he desires. So this is how the Gurukul system works. To study the Vedas and understand them, of course, requires some special intelligence. But the members of the three higher sections of society, namely the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, must learn the Vedic literatures according to their capability and power to understand. In other words, studying the Vedic literatures is compulsory for everyone, but the Shudras and Antyajas. So Antyajas we studied earlier, they are even lower than the Shudras, Chandal, and so on. The Vedic literature gives the knowledge that can lead one to understand the absolute truth, Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. Gurukul or the reformatory educational institution should be used only to understand Vedic knowledge. At the present time, there are many educational institutions for training and technology, but such knowledge has nothing to do with the understanding of the absolute truth. Technology, therefore, is meant for the Shudras. Good luck to all the IT people and the engineers. Whereas the Vedas are meant for the Dvijas. Consequently, this verse states, Dvijo Atityav Buddhya cha Traim Sangopanishadam. At the present time, in the age of Kali, practically everyone is a Shudra and no one is a Dvija. Therefore, the condition of society has very much deteriorated. Because people don't want to learn the Vedas and what is written in the Vedas and how to understand the absolute truth, how to get into the spiritual knowledge and the practices. And there are so many societies or paths where they teach hodgepodge and the student learns whatever hodgepodge and they all do whatever they want to do. thinking this is spirituality. That's not. That's what earlier it was said. When Rupa Goswami says that Shruti Smriti Purana Adi Pancharatra Vidhi Bina Ekantiki Harera Bhaktir Utpate Vikalpate. Means bhakti, so-called bhakti, which is not based on Shruti or Smriti, Vedic or other literatures and without Pancharatra Vidhi, it's all utpat, it's all disturbance to the society. That's all. It doesn't take us anywhere. Another point to be observed from this verse is that from the brahmachari ashram, one may accept the sannyasa ashram, one prasashram or grihastha ashram. It is not compulsory for a brahmachari to become a grihastha, because the ultimate aim is to understand the absolute truth. There is no necessity of going through all the different ashrams. Thus, one may proceed to the sannyasa ashram directly from the brahmachari ashram. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur accepted the sannyasa ashram directly from the brahmachari ashram. In other words, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, did not think it compulsory to accept the grihastha ashram or vanprastha ashram. So he was, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was a Nashtik brahmachari. Nashtik means with full nishtha, I mean, no deviation, and then he directly took sannyas. And his taking sannyas was also different because his Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he had left his body, and he had, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was his disciple, and Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was a brahmachari when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj left his body. And one day, he just took sannyas in front of the picture of his Guru Maharaj. That's it. So, many followers, they were not the disciples of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, but they were the followers. Followers in the sense, they wanted Maharaj's samadhi in their ashram because they knew the spiritual potency of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and thinking that many people will come to take darshan of the samadhi and they will give us some dakshina. So the point, they didn't want to serve Maharaj, they wanted to just exploit Maharaj's name and his spiritual position to make money, to fill their bellies. And this was not at all acceptable by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it's not that anybody or everybody, of course we should respect everybody, but anybody or everybody who just puts on dhoti kurta, tilak, and maybe having white dress or saffron dress, maybe that everybody is a pure devotee and has no other ulterior motive. It's not true. So one has to be very careful. Even though the philosophy could be right, but the motives could be different. Kali Yuga, anything can happen. And it's just because that topic came up when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj left his body in the ashram he was staying in. So all the different Matha, Adhish, they came over there, and then they were saying, no, Babaji's Samadhi should be made in my ashram, Babaji's Samadhi should be made in my ashram. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared over there. And the police was also called because there was going to be riot otherwise. And then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, because he was a brahmachari at that time, you have to remember, others were sannyasis. And he said that I am the only disciple of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, so I am only one who can have claim on his vigra or on his body, and I'm the only one who can decide where the samadhi will be. Now there was a problem. They said, "Oh, you're not even a sannyasi," and this and that. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, because he was a Simha Guru, he was a lion Guru. He just made an announcement that my Guru Maharaj, he was a person from Vaikuntha, and if anybody falsely claims his body, then that person will be ruined. His whole ashram will be ruined. So many Babajis, they just stepped back because they were afraid. And there were some few. So then he said, my Guru Maharaj was a Naistik Brahmachari. So if any of you hasn't had illicit connection with a woman for the last 1 year, come forward, take his body. And the police were watching what is happening. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, okay, not even 1 year, 6 months. Not even 6 months, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day. And police constable was there and he was like, Maharaj, how are we going to decide? Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, I have full faith in the spiritual potency of my Guru Maharaj. I'll take their word if they're telling the truth. And if they let them come and take the body of my Guru Maharaj, and if they're lying, their ashram, they will die and everything will be ruined. And nobody came forward. That's how potent he was. But anyway, so coming back to the words, that it is very important that we have to be fixed up in our vows and try to make progress slowly. Agno Guravat Manicha Sarva Bhuteshu Adhokshajam Bhuteshu Dhamabhi Pashyeta Pravishtam Pravishtavat. One should realize that in the fire, in the spiritual master, in oneself, and in all living entities, in all circumstances and conditions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, has simultaneously entered and not entered. He is situated externally and internally as a full controller of everything. The realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's omnipresence is a perfect realization of the absolute truth to be attained through the study of the Vedic literatures. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastha. The Lord is situated within the universe, within the heart of every living entity, and also within the atom. We should understand that whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present, He is present with all His paraphernalia, including His name, form, associates, and servants. So even within the atom, He is there with all His paraphernalia. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, one should understand that since the Supreme Lord has entered the atom, the living entities are also there. As if it wasn't difficult. It was so difficult to understand the position of living entity and Paramatma. Now Prabhupada is saying the living entity is also there in the atom. So just imagine how many living entities there must be. We just say infinite. Infinite is for a little child. Infinite means could be maybe something that he cannot count. Maybe he cannot count till 100. So 100 is infinite for him. For a little more grown up, maybe 1 lakh is infinite. Maybe 1 crore is infinite. But infinite means unlimited. So if the living entities are in every atom, wherever the Paramatma is, a living entity has to be there. So it's just mind-boggling. And this is just the material world. What about the spiritual world, which is 3 times bigger than the material world? And Krishna takes care of everybody. Every living entity is taken care of. So that's why Prabhupada said, one must accept the inconceivable quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For no one can understand from the material point of view how the Lord is all pervasive, and yet he is situated in his own abode, Goloka Vrindavan. This realization is possible if one strictly follows the regulative principles of ashram, whether brahmachari, grihastha, vanprastha, or sannyas. And another thing to understand, or to be really appreciative of, or to be really grateful of, there are unlimited living entities, right? In every atom, and so many species all over the universe. And how many of such living entities are given a chance to come on the platform of bhakti? Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiva. So we all are so fortunate by the mercy of Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu that we've been given this chance, that we can take advantage of this human form of life and make progress in bhakti, and the path to spiritual world is wide open for those who have taken up this process. And if we still don't do it seriously, with determination, then we are the most unfortunate one, actually. Srila Madhvacharya says in this regard, Apravishta sarvagata pravishtastva anurupavan evam dvirupa bhagavan harera eko janardana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form has not entered everything, but in his impersonal form he has entered. So this we have discussed. I mean, he's not there in everything in his Shyama Sundar form, but as impersonal form, or as Paramatma is there. Thus he has entered and not entered simultaneously. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, Maya tatamidam sarvam. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. The Lord can defy himself. Thus, there is variety in unity. Ekatvam bahutvam. So he is there and he's not there at the same time. Means he's there in some aspect, but not all the aspects are there. Evam vido brahmachari vanaprasto yatir grihe charan vidit vijnanaha param brahmandi gacchati. By practicing in this way, whether one be in the brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha, sannyasa ashram, one must always realize the all-pervading presence of the Supreme Lord. For in this way, it is possible to understand the absolute truth. This is the beginning of self-realization. One must first understand how Brahman is present everywhere and how he is acting. This education is called Brahma Jigyasa and is a real concern of human life. Without such knowledge, one cannot claim to be a human being. Rather, he remains in the animal kingdom. As it is said, Sa eva gokhara. Without such knowledge, one is no better than a cow or an ass, just like an animal. If one does not even try to inquire about Brahman. वानप्रस्थस्य वक्ष्यामि नियमान् मुनि सम्मतान् यानास्थाय मुनिर्गच्छेत् ऋषि लोकम उहांजसा. O king, I shall now describe the qualifications for a vanaprastha who has retired from family life. This Narad Muni is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj. By rigidly following the rules and regulations for the vanaprastha, one can easily be elevated to the upper planetary system known as Maharloka. Na krishtapachyam ashniyad krishtam chapi kalatah agni pakvam athamam va arka pakvam utaharet. A person in Vanprastha life should not eat grains grown by tilling of the fields. He should also not eat grains that have grown without tilling of the field, but are not fully ripe. Nor should a Vanprastha eat grains cooked in fire. Indeed, he should eat only fruits ripened by the sunshine. So it's not easy. If you think Vanprastha life might be easy. Retired life is not Vanprastha life. Retired and living at home is not equal to Vanprastha. Vanprastha is going to the forest and get into the training of being fully dependent upon the Lord. Vanyascharu purodashan nirvapet kalachoditan labdhe nave annadya puranam cha parityaje. A Vanprastha should prepare cakes to be offered in sacrifice from fruits and grains grown naturally in the forest. When he obtains some new grains, he should give up his old stock of grains. That is being fully dependent, surrendered, Sharnagati. Agnyartham eva sharanam uttajam vadrikandaram Shrayat him vagnir varshar ka tapishad swayam. A Vanprastha should prepare a thatched cottage or take shelter of a cave in a mountain only to keep the sacred fire, but he should personally practice enduring snowfall, wind, fire, rain, and the shining of the sun. Kesharoma nakhashma shrumlani gatilo tatat kamandal vajine danda valkalagni parichadan. The Vanprastha should wear matted locks of hair on his head and let his body, hair, nails, and mustache grow. He should not cleanse his body of dirt. He should keep a water pot, deerskin, and draught. Wear the bark of a tree as a covering and use garments colored like fire. So that is the saffron garments. See, it is not possible for a Vanprastha, for any person to go through this until he has had the training earlier. So Brahmacharya ashram is for the training. Chared vane dvadasha dashnashto va chaturo munihi dvavekam va yatha buddhir na vipadyet krichrataha. Being very thoughtful, a Vanprastha should remain in the forest for 12 years, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, or at least 1 year. He should behave in such a way that he will not be disturbed or troubled by too much austerity. Yada kalpa svakriyayam vyadhe phir charyathava anvikshikyam va vidyayam koyad anashannadikam. When because of disease or old age one is unable to perform his prescribed duties for advancement in spiritual consciousness or study of the Vedas, he should practice fasting, not taking any food. Not the way we do the fasting. We take different food. Atmanyagnina samarupya sanyasyam hammamat matam karane shunyase samyak sanghatam tu yatharhatah. He should properly place the fire element in his own self, and in this way give a bodily affinity for which one thinks the body to be one's self or one's own. One should gradually merge the material body into the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and the sky. The body is an effect of a cause, namely the five material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. In other words, one should know perfectly well that the material body is nothing but a combination of the five elements. This knowledge constitutes merging of the material body and the five material elements. Merging into Brahman is in perfect knowledge, means understanding perfectly that one is not the body, but a spiritual soul. So merging of the body, of course, this merging happens at the time of death, but one starts giving up the bodily affinity in the vanaprastha stage. So the fasting really helps. Ke khani vayo nishvan sasteja sushmanmatmavan up swasrik shleshma puyani khito shesham yathodbhavam. A sober, self-realized person who has full knowledge should merge the various parts of the body in their original sources. The holes in the body are caused by the sky. The process of breathing is caused by the air. The heat of the body is caused by fire, and semen, blood, and mucus are caused by water. The hard substances like skin, muscle, and bone are caused by earth. In this way, all the constituents of the body are caused by various elements, and they should be merged again into those elements. To be self-realized, one must understand the original source of the various elements of the body. The body is a combination of skin, bone, muscle, blood, semen, urine, stool, heat, breath, and so on, which all come from earth, water, fire, air, and sky. One must be well conversant with the sources of all the bodily constituents. Then one becomes a self-realized person, or Atmavan, one who knows the self. There are only 2-3 shlokas left, so let's complete this chapter. So I'll just go to the translation for next. The mind, along with all material desires, should be merged in the moon demigod, because the moon is a controller of mind. All the subject matters of intelligence, along with the intelligence itself, should be placed in Lord Brahma. False ego, which is under the influence of the material modes of nature and which induces one to think, I'm this body and everything connected with this body is mine, should be merged along with material activities in Rudra, the predominating deity of false ego. Material consciousness, along with the goal of thought, should emerge in the individual living being, and the demigods acting under the modes of material nature should be merged along with the perverted living being into the supreme being. The earth should be merged in water, water in the brightness of sun, the brightness into the air, air into the sky into the false ego, and false ego into the total material energy. The total material energy into the unmanifested ingredients, the pradhan feature of the material energy, and at last the ingredient feature of material manifestation into the super soul. Text 31. When all the material designations have thus merged into their respective material elements, the living beings, who are all ultimately completely spiritual, being one in quality with the Supreme Being, should cease from material existence, as flames cease when the wood in which they are burning is consumed. When the material body is returned to its various material elements, only the spiritual being remains. This spiritual being is Brahman and is equal in quality with the Parabrahman. The spiritual being is the soul. So anyway, thanks to Prabhupada, this all sounds so difficult. But Prabhupada or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that we all are fools and rascals in Kali Yuga actually. So we won't be able to do all this. They just gave us the easiest process. Okay, just chant. That's all you need to do. So if we just concentrate on our chanting, that will take us all the way to Golok Vrindavan. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna.